Engine 1 for Car 1. Car 1's on scene. Assuming command. Give me a CAN report.
What's going on, everybody? This is Mike Goldstein, Stickers of the CAN report. Nozzle Tov, everybody. And straight up Nozzle Tov. We're talking about nozzles this evening. I have the man, the myth, the legend, Eric Guida out of California. And we are going to be talking about water. We're going to talk about suppression. We're talking about nozzles. We're talking HEN. And I'm pumped. Honestly, Eric, I'm so happy that you agreed to be on the program. This is just awesome to talk to somebody who loves nozzle work, loves suppression, and you not just that, but you talk about leadership. You talk about, everything fire service. And I got you on here, and I'm pumped to have you. Thank you for being on the CAN report.
Oh man, I'm excited. I'm honored to be asked. I know this is a very prestigious podcast, and to be honest, this is just my third podcast. So I'm very appreciative to have been asked, and I'm excited to explore some nozzle stuff and just talk about some engine ops.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. I'm shifting gears. I talk a lot about mental health. I talk a lot about leadership, but I also like to shake things up. I talk a lot also with people who have great products, people who are helping to make the fire service a lot better for us with doing our jobs out in the field. And this is why I want you on to lay it down to people to help them understand what the HEN is. So we're going to be talking about that, the HEN nozzle, the high efficiency nozzle, who they are, what they do, and you as well. So I'm going to get in your bio real quick here. Eric Guida, he was originally from Montreal. Wow. Moved to San Francisco when he was 1, lived in San Francisco until he was 8. He moved to LA and lived there until he went to UC Davis, graduated from UC Davis in 1987 with the intent of going to veterinary school. Did a hard right turn and got a job with Fair Oaks Fire Protection District in 1988. Got hired by Sacramento Fire Department in 1992. Promoted to captain in June of 2006. Retired on December 21st, 2021. He got hired by HEN in January of 2022. While with SFD, he was on numerous engine committees, was a drill instructor for 4 academies, taught engine ops to many more academies, responded with the CAFT 7 to the Northridge earthquake, Oklahoma bombing, Atlanta Olympics, and 9/11. The thing that he's most proud of is his marriage to his wife, Julie, of 37 years, and the 3 amazing children, Simone, 34, Max, 31, and Jake, 28, and his first granddaughter, +1. Man, that is awesome. Love it. Congratulations on all of that, sir.
Thank you. Yeah,
that is quite an accomplishment.
It is. And, I think we all know, anybody who's in the fire service understands that the other half at home taking care of business, they're the real support systems, and they're the ones that allow us to do what we love so much. And without them, there's no way I'd be sitting here. There's no way I'd be involved with HEN. There's no way I would have had the career that I had without the support system. She sacrificed her career to raise our kids, and our kids benefited from having her at home. And I know it sometimes doesn't work out for people like that they both have to work, but in our case, it worked out great. And like I said, she sacrificed her career so that I could have the one that I enjoyed so much. So it's awesome.
Amen, really, brother. I absolutely love that. Yeah. On the same boat, like sitting up here almost not even weekly, like more than that. And I'm up here and my wife's doing things, carting people around, carting the kids around. I have twin girls, so they're very busy. It's something about our spouses that let us do something that we love so much, and they sacrifice a lot for us. So definitely give a shout out to our spouses and to our kids. Our kids have to share us with so many other people as well. And it's amazing that they understand the love and passion that we have, but we're bringing something to others. So yeah, man, I love you gave a shout out to your wife. That's super cool. Right. You know what? We're going to just jump into it, Eric. First off, I want to know a little bit of your history. You were going to go to veterinary school. Why did you take that hard turn and go to the fire service?
So I graduated, got my degree, and then I signed up for Stanley Kaplan, which is an organization that helps you study for the big entrance board exams. And I think I was supposed to study for the GREs to get into vet school. So I signed up. I paid them like $350, which was a world of money for me back then. Came home, and when I picked up the materials, they told me, hey, you're going to have to study about 40 to 50 hours a week. And I'm like, I have a 40-hour-a-week job that I have to have. And they're like, well, you're going to have to cut way back because you have to put the time in to get into vet school. So I went home with my stuff. I grabbed a bottle of Ouzo, and by the time my wife got, she wasn't my wife, but by the time she got home, she looks at me and she's like, "What's wrong with you?" And I'm like, "I don't want to be a veterinarian. I want to be a fireman." And she's like, "What?" And I don't know. I can't tell you where that came from. I have no legacy, no family that's in the fire service.
I was
I
just
just
going to
know
ask
that I've
that.
been enthralled with it since I was a little kid. We had an incident in my house where my mom and my stepdad lit a fire in the fireplace and they didn't open the flue, so it filled the house with smoke. And I just remember being woken up and a firefighter grabbed me out of my bed and carried me outside. And I remember seeing all the lights outside, and it must have made an impression because I don't know, it just did. And so I went back the next day. I took all the materials back. I got most of my money back, and I went and I grabbed a phone book, which we had back then, and I just started looking down for local fire departments to see if they were hiring. And lucky for me, Fair Oaks Fire Protection District was hiring sleepers, paid calls, and I got a job there only because I had a degree. That was the reason the chief gave me a shot,
Hmm.
and the rest is history.
And you just took off. You just loved it ever since.
This really is the only profession for me. I think there. I don't know if you believe um, in fate, but for me, this was there hasn't, and we've all had high times and low times and bad days and good days, but all of them together, pretty much made me who I am, and it just. I couldn't see me doing anything. I tried to think, I'm like, what would I, if I could pick anything, what would I do that would make me happy? And I'm like, I don't think there's anything. I'm terrible at golf. I tried surfing. I'm not good at that either. So this is it, and
Wow.
it's one of those few professions that if you really put yourself into it, you can make a difference and you can be good at it. It's not something you don't have to have any natural born ability to be a good firefighter. I think you just have to have heart and willingness to do the hard stuff. And I think in the end, you'll do just fine.
Yeah. So I love that you say that too. Like it's not having that natural ability, and it's having that heart, and and having hard work. And what I've seen lately, and I actually like it, that the shift is coming into the fact that we're telling people, if you have heart, you can do this job. You don't have to be the biggest or the strongest, but if you have passion and drive and motivation, this job is going to come a little bit easier for you because you're dedicated to it. You're learning about the craft. You're
Right.
reading. You're doing your due diligence to be the best that you can, to read up on the material and study the material. There's a lot of people out there that I think that do the fire service and they just think it's going to naturally come to them and they don't have to like really study for it. And I think that's
Right.
how I mean I feel like that's how I've gotten to where I'm got. For you and for many others, that you study it like it's scripture, and it just starts oozing out of you. And so with that, so how did you start becoming more of the Eric Guida that we all know? Like, I mean, you've written so many articles, you've been in books, you've published, and you go around teaching so much. How did you fall in love with so much of it? How did you gain this information? Because when you were coming up, it wasn't here like it is now. So how did you get this knowledge that you have now?
Well, I think it starts the same way it starts for all of us. I had great mentors. I had, my one of the first captains I ever worked for was a guy named John DeGraff who worked for Fair Oaks Fire. He was an amazing captain. And he just showed me that being aggressive is okay. You can be aggressive, you can be smart, you can be safe. You don't have to just stand on the sidelines and stand by and watch other people do all the work. You can actually be aggressive. Um, Phenomenal mentor. One of the first captains that ever really showed me the way. And then when I got to Sacramento, I had guys like Tim Adams, who's one of my best friends and who really showed me how to delve into the art of being a good engine company member. And it has to do with the little stuff, the big stuff, and everything in between. And then just, other mentors, Mark Benavoya, Jay Kuhn. I mean, just guys that don't think that they're really mentoring you, but just by watching them go along their way and do what they're doing, You know, and I think that's how anybody who gets to a certain level where you have people following behind you comes from you following people, you know, and I think if we don't ever stop following and we don't ever stop leading, I think we're going to be in a good place.
Absolutely. And how did you, like, over the years, keep all that information, all that mentoring, and that you're able to bring that back out? Did you take a lot of notes? Did you, I mean, you applied it, obviously people gave it on the job training, on the job, like scripture right there as you're doing the job. And how do you take all of that and put it into, you know, paper form? All those years and all those people you just mentioned, how do you give that to all of us?
No, I wasn't ever a big note taker. I think I just, for me, learning is a process of doing and doing over and doing over and over and over again. And I think I've made a lot of mistakes on this way, but eventually I figure it out. You know, there's a lot of things that the guy I mentioned, Tim Adams, would bring to us. You know, things that he had read about. He was the one of the first people that really taught me that, hey, there's a lot of information out there. You can gather it, you can figure it out if it works for you. You can go and try it out and see, you know, if it fits into your game plan. And I remember on multiple occasions he would bring something to us and I'd be like, "Man, that's kind of dumb." You know, and I would shrug it off, and then they're like, "No, no, we're gonna go try it." And then we try it a couple times, and I'm like, "Oh yeah, that's good." So I think for me, I was more of a see it and try it than just rely on reading it. And then I just whatever I always claim that I'm like what's his name? The music concert promoter, Bill Graham, right? I'm not a famous band or star, but I can promote anything. So if I get a good idea, I haven't come up with a single great idea, but I can promote the heck out of them once I learn about them. And I think that,
I
you know,
love
he
it.
brought smoothbores to us. I promoted the heck out of it. So I think that's it. If you figure out what's a good idea and then you stand behind it 100%, it's pretty easy to keep moving forward.
Now, have you always loved engine work? Have you always loved being the nozzle man?
Yes, if I could have stayed on the nozzle my entire career, I would have done that. That's to me, pushing down a hallway on the nozzle, hot as hell. You know, you're feeling like you're bursting into flames, getting to the seat of the fire. I get the appeal to searching. I get the appeal to going on the roof and ventilating. I get all that, but for me, I'd rather be on the line. And then when I transitioned to captain, I was right behind the nozzle, so that was close enough.
Yeah, I love it. So, we'll talk about it. Well, we're gonna jump right into it then. So nozzle work, you know, the all those different products that we have out there, and you said you were introduced to smoothbores and you just loved them. What is it now about the smoothbore that you loved over a combination nozzle?
I mean, it's just the dynamics of the stream, right? I mean, we need the stream to do a lot of things for us so that we don't get into trouble, right? So we need to be able to cool the atmosphere. We need to be able to cool the surfaces. We need to be able to cool the seat of the fire, and we need to be able to make a safe avenue for us to get to the seat of the fire because a lot of times it's not right there at the front door. And early on, I learned that smoothbore with the solid stream with those big droplets make a big difference. They're not vaporizing. They're not over pressurizing the room so that it pushes everything down on top of us. It's actually cooling everything. As long as we work the nozzle appropriately and continually manipulate that nozzle, we're going to distribute a lot of big droplet water. That's going to do a lot of good. And I think to me, that's what kind of drew me to the smoothbore. And then you have a couple really hot fires that you have to use that technique, and you realize that the smaller droplet stream just isn't going to be enough when you have those couple fires where you need every single GPM because the BTUs are kicking your butt.
Yeah, I love it. Now, when you're saying for the people who are new at this game, and you're saying to properly manipulate your nozzle or properly applying that water, what are you telling them?
So When I first started, it was basically just an O pattern, right? So you're moving the nozzle around and you're taking that basically that laser beam of solid water and you're applying it to the upper atmosphere. You're applying it to the right wall. You're applying it to the floor. You're applying it to the left floor. And you're just doing that constantly, right? And then as you get to the seat of the fire, you bring the nozzle down and maybe you go back and forth based on how big the seat of the fire is. But you have to constantly move that nozzle. Otherwise, you're just shooting a laser beam. And the laser beam itself isn't going to do you a lot of good because even though it's a big, thick droplet stream, it's so compact that it's not absorbing any heat and it's not doing you really any good. You have to manipulate that nozzle. And now we have wall ceiling wall, we have Z patterns, we have O patterns, we have squash those, we have a whole alphabet of letters that we've created so that the brand new firefighter can understand that, hey, you have to move that nozzle constantly so that you can get the stream to do what it wants to do for you.
Absolutely. I love it with all the initials and numbers and letters and everything. Yeah, we come up with so much stuff in the fire service with acronyms and all the, it can be definitely confusing. Now, when you talk about having to use your nozzle and move it a lot, we do talk a lot about water mapping. And I think that's helped us to understand and apply water more effectively and efficiently for the fire service, and using our walls, using our rooms to our advantage, using that, like you said, the big water droplets, breaking them up and applying them to where they need to apply. I love using the smoothbore with the water mapping prop to show my new recruits how this can actually be applied. That doesn't have to be a combination nozzle. If you're applying your big water in the right way, you can break up those even bigger water droplets to really spread out and help kill that fire even faster.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And water mapping may be a new terminology or something that
It's
we
been around forever,
finally
though.
figured out that we needed to. Yeah, exactly. I mean, the water mapping has been around since we've had nozzles and fires, right? You've had to put the water out there and cover everything that's burning, or it's going to continue to burn. But now and I don't know exactly when water mapping came out, probably in the last 10 or 15 years. It's just a terminology so that we understand that, yes, we need to take this stream and we need to move it around and we need to map everything. We need to paint everything. We need to cool everything. Otherwise, the fire's going to beat us. And that it's pretty simple. It's great that we have a term for it because everybody now understands what we're talking about and why we're moving the nozzles so much. But yeah, it's kind of funny that we have a term for it when we've always
It's just like VES, right? We've always done it like same thing with VEIS, right? It's a window oriented search. We just gave it a fun initials, and then now it's it's all of a sudden for the newer people like, oh, holy shit, what is that? So we'll bring it right to the HEN. So you have now the high efficiency nozzle. And it's now like when you talked about laser beams, we're not using a laser beam anymore. We're using a paintbrush for these nozzles.
Correct.
And we're changing the game with these nozzles. And without having to have a lot of moving parts in a smoothbore nozzle. For your love of the smoothbore nozzle, it's a simple nozzle. It's just a straight through and through, and water comes out of it. You don't have any moving parts inside of it. The HEN's done the same thing. So what about the HEN product got you on board? What is it that you love about it?
So I was approached about 6 days after I retired. My boss, Sonny, reached out to me through a battalion chief who still worked for Sacramento, a guy named Eric Sailors. He reached out to me and goes, "Hey, Eric, I'm working on creating an adjustable smoothbore nozzle." And I did exactly what the rest of the fire service has done. I'm like, what? Adjustable smoothbore? Like, those two words don't belong together. So I reached out to Eric. I'm like, hey, is this legit? And he's like, yeah, I think you two should talk to each other. So Sonny and I met. We went to a Sac City fire station. We flowed a 3D printed nozzle. And before we broke it, because of course we broke it, I saw that bladed pattern. And I was like, oh, that's something that we've never seen before. And basically, he hired me pretty much right there. I've been with the company for almost 4 years. And what we've developed is we've given the fire service a nozzle that does all the water mapping you could ever want The nozzle's doing it all. All you have to do is basically make sure it's all the way open and all the way to the left so the blade is as wide as it can be. And literally all you have to do is go up and down. And you will coat everything and anything. It's big droplet water. It's still a smoothbore. There's no baffle or stem in it that creates the diverging. It's just these little arms that allow the water to go wide, and it literally coats and cools everything, but it's big droplet water. It's smoothbore water. It's really amazing that this nozzle actually got created. And I really think it only got created because it took somebody outside of the fire service with zero bias in combination or smoothbore to come up with this nozzle. Because I can tell you that in my smoothbore camp, we weren't looking to improve it because we thought that was the best nozzle created. And I'm assuming that the combination nozzle loyalists were the same. It took somebody that was really, really smart that goes, you know, what if I just took the best attributes of both nozzles and put them into one? And that's what Sonny did. And it really is an amazing product. I truly, with 100% of my soul, believe that this will make the fire service safer. It'll make them better at applying water. It'll raise the level of the entire staff. So even your brand new firefighters will be much better at applying water because the nozzle's doing all the work.
I love it. I mean, you just nailed it. Like, end scene. Tell me about the beginning of the nozzle. Like, so the owner is Sonny. And for the people out there who don't know anything about HEN, how did Sonny, because I tell the story because now I'm obviously a regional sales manager. I love promoting it. But for the people out there, what is the story behind HEN? How was it created? Why was it created?
So in 2020, Northern California was burning badly. I mean, we had some major wildfires, and it was COVID. So you couldn't go outside. And even if you wanted to, you couldn't because our skies were orange. And he was sitting on his couch. He lives in Northern California, and they were watching the news. And his wife turned to him and said, "Hey, why don't you do something to help these people?" And he's like, "What am I supposed to do?" And that's literally how HEN started. He started thinking he's a brilliant man. So then he had some friends who had some other friends that worked in CAL FIRE. He went and talked to them. They explained to him the difference between combination and smooth bores, the pros and cons. And the first nozzle he ever made was an unadjustable bladed smooth bore. It looked like a vacuum attachment. It was ugly. He took it to CAL FIRE. They flowed it, and they're like, "Yep, we love that, but we have to be able to adjust it back to the tight." And that's been the challenge. He hired me a few months later. And then that's what we've been working on because we know from my camp, I know the smoothbore loyalists want to see that perfect laser beam when you're in our tight mode. And then when you go to the blade has to look perfect and has to do what we're saying it does by applying water evenly and with big droplets. So that's been the challenge, is getting both ends of that nozzle to be perfect. And then we started working on the shutoffs, and I think our shutoffs are second to none.
So let's talk about that. What makes the shutoff so special? So for the shutoffs, what makes the shutoff special than others out there on the market?
So we have two different types of shutoffs now. So we have our regular structure shutoff is just a full ball, no cut steel ball, aluminum anodized, great big handle, reinforced everything. The thing is bomb proof. Our Wildland nozzles have a different type of valve to where it's more like an eyelet. So when you close it, it looks like a garage door. So what that does is it allows you to bail down a little bit and maintain a pretty good stream while saving some water. Not a big deal in the structural world. I think our nozzles should be fully open or closed. But in the wildland world where we're trying to save water, if we can bail down from let's say our 45 GPM nozzle, if we can bail it down 3/4 to 3/4 open and maybe only flow like 30 gallons a minute because we're not in a high stress environment, we can save some water. We have had a couple crews tell us that by using our Wildland nozzles, their 500-gallon tank feels more like 600 because of how much water they apply and how well it applies it and they don't have to do U-turns or have somebody trail behind them. Once they lay that wet line down, it's done. And then we have a third type of shutoff, which is called our force shutoff, which has our back pressure increaser included in it. And that to me is equally a game changer as the blade. It allows you to put a 50 PSI nozzle on hoses designed for 75 or higher and pump it to 75, but only 50 gets to the nozzle. Nothing changes with the nozzle. It stays, like if you put our blade 160 on there, it stays at 160 at 50 with 60 pounds of nozzle reaction. If you put a 7/8 smoothbore tip on there, it stays at 160 at 50, but the hose is 75. The hose is now much stiffer, a lot less nozzle whip. It's what hose was meant to be. I think 50 PSI, even though that's the limit that we can pump smoothbores, is just not enough for most hose to be really happy with.
Mm-hmm. But, let's talk about that real quick. With pairing of attack packages, I mean, the topic's been out there for a while. And I think, honestly, departments are kind of still catching up with that, like understanding that we need to get the proper attack packages, or else you're going to have these violent reactions with your nozzles and your lines. Does HEN take care of that problem for you?
Yes. The turbo, which is the back pressure increaser on its own, or the force shutoff, which has it, fixes many of those problems. A department that right now is running, let's say, 75 PSI combination nozzles and want to transition to low pressure 50 PSI smoothbores, without the turbo, they have to buy hose first and then the nozzle. Because if they try to put our nozzle or any smoothbore nozzle on their hose that's designed to flow at 75, they're not going to like it. There's going to be a lot of nozzle whip and a lot of kinking, and they're going to blame the nozzle when actually it's just that the nozzle and the hose are not synced up. But with our products, whether it's the turbo or the force, you can put our low pressure nozzles on your high pressure hose and pump it to the high pressure that the hose is used to being pumped at, and not over pressurize the nozzle. I like to say we over pump the hose and under pump the nozzles, and it gives you.
So with that,
go ahead.
No, go ahead. No, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
So it gives you the ability to get a flow that is manageable with one person based on the nozzle reaction, but it also allows to give you a flow of either 160. We even have a 175 at 45. So it basically gives you 175 gallons a minute at only 45 pounds of nozzle pressure with only 60 pounds of nozzle reaction, because we're over pumping the hose and we're under pumping the nozzle.
I love that. And the question I was going to ask is, what you just said with, you have to now add the 75 PSI. A lot of the old school thought process, right, is you don't want to over pump, or you don't want to tax your pump. And we're asking people to pump higher than they're usually going to pump their regular lines at. How has that been for you, for the feedback? When I go for the demos, a lot of people, they're a little hesitant at first, and then they understand why. So for the people out there who are not used to this, having to up their pressures, it's not taxing their pump, correct? They're not going to wear out their engine.
Correct. I mean, a lot of these pumps are rated for like 300 PSI. So unless they're paying extra for extra PSI, which they're not, it's just breaking away from what you're used to pumping. What I like to do if I get a chance is I'll throw a flow meter on there, and I ask them, hey, pump your nozzle to what you normally pump it at, and let's see. And they pump it, and they're like, oh yeah, this is great. And I'm like, okay, you're flowing 85 gallons a minute. No wonder it's so easy to hold on to. And no wonder your pump discharge pressure is 95. You're not flowing any water. And I go, now let's pump this to where it's designed at 100 PSI. And they're like, I can't even hold on to it. I'm like, yeah, I know. So then we put our nozzles on there with the turbo, and we're like, okay, instead of pumping it at 110, you're pumping it at 135. So what? Your pump is fine. Your pumps are going to be fine. Even if you pump to 150 or 160, they're rated to way higher than that. They're going to be fine. But the end result on the other end is you're going to have a line that is stiff, that doesn't kink, that doesn't nozzle whip. You're going to flow anywhere from 160 to 175 gallons a minute, and one person can hold on to it. They don't need a multiple. You don't need 2 or 3 people to chase kinks and then hold on to it because the nozzle reaction is crushing you. It just makes a lot of sense.
I love it. And you're absolutely right. And when I talk about our attack packages and I talk about the HENs, I always equate it as like a football team. My linebackers can move anything. The 6'5", 300-pound dudes, they're going to move a crap hose line easily because they're so used to muscling things around. I think about my special ops teams, the ones who are like 130 pounds, the ones who are not really experienced on the nozzle line, our kickers, you know, the ones who are not going to be out pushing things around, real heavy stuff. I want my attack package for my special ops team. The ones who are going to need something that's going to be lighter, something that's more maneuverable, and something that's not going to kick their ass when they have to open up that bail and all you get 90 pounds of pressure coming back at you.
Exactly. Because the first thing they're going to do when that nozzle reaction starts pushing them back is they're going to bail down. And now you're not getting the flow that you think you are, because even if it's pumped properly, and even if you're supposed to be getting 150 gallons a minute at 75 PSI nozzle pressure, you're bailing down. So now you're reducing it to, let's say, 120. Well, that's not what you thought you were flowing, just so you can hold on to it. It doesn't make sense, but that's what we've done through history. Is we've either over pumped everything and held on for dear life, or we under pumped everything and then really had to chase kinks. And when we brought smoothbores to Sacramento, now probably 20 years ago, we trained the problem away. We had kinking just like everybody else, but we didn't want anybody to notice it because we really wanted smoothbore. So we made sure that you chase kinks all the way back to the engine. Maybe we over pumped it just a little to get all the kinks out. And we just made sure that there was no issues because we wanted smoothbore. If we would have had the turbo or the force back then, we could have easily transitioned and had no issues.
But you get bad training scars, right? You get bad habits. When you're dealing with bad hose lines, bad nozzle whip, you're now training everybody to have bad habits. Slowly opening up the bail instead of quickly opening up the bail, because you know that reaction is going to hit you in the face. So you're slowly opening up the bail because you know it's losing that pressure and it's going to come back and bite you. And now again, you're having poor body mechanics because now you're having to deal with an over pressurized line, and now you're having to work harder with all that pressure coming back at you. All those things are definitely negative training scars, and you can't have that. So I love that this product is helping that with training. I've seen it firsthand. I love seeing guys and girls when I see them struggling on the hose line. Then you give them the HEN setup and they go, "This is way easier. I'm not working as hard." Like, yes, because it's taking care of these issues for you. And I absolutely love seeing that. I love seeing it in people's hands. So
one of our,
go ahead.
I was just going to say, one of our advisors, Dennis Laguerre, who's a retired Oakland captain, he likes to say that the turbo or the force is like a half person more on your crew with that. So especially for the undermanned engines that only maybe have 2 or 3 people, that turbo or that force gives you that one extra person where you probably don't have to chase all the kinks anymore because the turbo is going to take care of it. You don't have to worry about struggling to push hose into a building as a nozzle disappears around a corner, because the turbo is going to take care of that extra pressure. So he likes to say it just adds 1/2 of a person to your crew.
That is so eloquently put. I love that. It's a great slogan, honestly. I like that very much. So with this product, with the turbo and force, and how are they tested? Are you sending them to UL labs? How is that being done? Sorry, your internet got slowed again.
Yeah. What was that last question? Sorry. You're going to be able to edit this, right?
Yeah, I'll be able to edit it. So you were saying that you don't really want to. So with the testing, we'll go off of that. So for testing of this products, how do you go about testing? Is it UL listed? What's up with that?
So all our products are NFPA tested, which the NFPA process is a self-testing process. All our engineers got all of the appropriate testing measures. And when we were young and I was helping do everything, I was there, and we were doing drop tests, we were doing saltwater tests, we were putting them in the freezer, we were heating them up, and then before we were checking their flow and everything before, and then we would test them and would do it out. So a lot of the all the NFPA testing is in-house, and everything that we have is NFPA tested and approved. As far as getting UL testing, our nozzles have not been evaluated by UL, and I think it's because we're the only ones that make it, and I think it's they don't want to appear like they're endorsing a product, and I get it. We're the only ones, and if they came out and tested our nozzle and they're like, yeah, these nozzles are way better than everything else, we're the only ones, and it would appear like they were, they were advertising for us. So I get that they don't want to do that. I've heard that we can pay them to do it. We can get UL listed, but from what I understand, it's very expensive, and we're not there yet. But that may be something that we look to do in the future.
That's awesome. That'd be cool. So now tell me about also the square tip, because that's a different type of smoothbore tip as well. But can you elaborate on that?
So that was Ray McCormack's idea, and I love the idea. And all it is, there's literally nothing different about it, except when you look at the end of a hose bed and you see a square tip, it's a HEN nozzle, and that's it. Okay. Otherwise, it flows. And if you've ever seen one flow, it comes out square, and then about 6 inches, it just goes to round. It just goes to the solid stream. It's more of a cosmetic thing than anything, but I just love the idea that when you look at the end of a hose bed and you see a square smoothbore, it's a HEN. We're the only one who has it.
I love that. That's cool. So that's actually something I didn't know. So I love asking that question, because I get a lot of people ask that question. I also, funny enough, I'm not sure if you get them. The question I get asked a lot when I'm doing the demos is hydraulically venting with the nozzles. And I always tell them, you're going to hydraulically vent, no issues. Now, there's videos that we have on it for the people out there coming from Eric Guida. Talk about hydraulically venting.
Okay. So before our nozzle, we had 2 nozzles, right? So the smoothbore, to hydraulically ventilate with a smoothbore, you got to take the smoothbore tip off. You got to partially open the bail, and you got to stand really close to the window, because any water that that hits the window frame is not pulling smoke out. So you have a half velocity, small broken stream, and you're standing close to the window. The cone, which is, everybody says is the awesome hydraulic ventilator, you still have to stand pretty close to the window to get that cone out the window, because again, any water that hits the frame doesn't pull smoke out. So I'm standing again 2 to 3 feet from the window. With the HEN, I can stand all the way across the other side of the room. I can stand right next to the door in the doorway, and I can fully open the nozzle. All I have to do is bring the blade in so that it fits inside the confines of the window. Remember, the blade is a rectangular pattern. I would say 99.9% of the windows you're going to hydraulically ventilate out are either square or rectangle. The other 2 streams are round. So the old adage, trying to put a round object through a square hole, doesn't work. The HEN, the blade works great. So you get full velocity of the stream, you get full width of the room, and you get a lot of air entrainment, which our nozzle does entrain more air than a smoothbore. It does. Less than a cone, but more than a smoothbore. But when your water is putting out fire and cooling and gas contracting and doing everything, then bringing air in behind you is a good thing. We've just never had a nozzle that entrained air and put the fire out. It's always been one or the other. Now we have one that does both. So yes, it works great for hydraulic ventilation.
I love it. Now we've kind of killed the structural nozzle. Let's talk about the Titans, the big boys. Now we've got 500, 750, and 1,000. So these are amazing tools as well. I love flowing water out of these things. So now, can you explain why you came up with those?
Well, I think the idea is that HEN is always evolving. HEN is always looking to improve the fire service. If you talk to Dennis Laguerre, he had some ideas on how to improve the master stream attack, right? Because a lot of times we put the deck guns up, we flow a laser beam, 1,000 gallons a minute. It hits the roof that's already collapsed and the water does nothing. And all we're doing is waiting to fill the building up with water. What Dennis thought of and created is, what if we have a higher velocity stream, less water, but higher velocity? And if we widen it out on the blade, we can cover a lot more area and we can get water through those cracks and get water to maybe the seat of the fire and get we all know when the ladder pipes come out, it's done. It's defensive, surround and drown. But if we can do it quicker and we can get it out quicker, and if we're in a offensive/defensive mode, I think that big 500, whether it's 500 on a blitz fire or a QAM or a ram, or 1,000 on a deck gun or a ladder pipe, it's pretty impressive. That 1,000 gallon a minute blade is pretty impressive. And I think, again, we're just trying to apply water to put the fire out as quick as possible. And the bigger the fire, the bigger the water. But it's fun.
I that's usually like when I'm doing my demos, that's kind of like the big hurrah. That's the fireworks show. That's that's the final one. And when everyone's asking like, hey, can we flow this? Can we flow? I'm like, yep, absolutely. Put that on. And as soon as they see the blanket, the sheet of water that comes out of that blade pattern on their master stream, they're just like blown away. It is such a big changing nozzle or device for our fire service. Exposures, roof ups, it's such a big deal. And I did a demo in Connecticut, and the chief said, I've been wanting to see this. I want you to flow this Titan. We had a fire not that long ago. We had condos going and the roof was going on it. We had stackable tips on our aerial device. It did nothing for the fire. I want to see this work. And as soon as he saw that water in a blade pattern come out of his ladder, he was like, I need one of these. He was just so impressed by the sheets of water that was coming out. He was like, I wish I had this at that fire. I could have saved the roof on that.
Yeah. And we have another item called the throttle, which is basically an adjustable turbo, which it allows you to vary the distance on because a lot of times you set up your deck gun, you fire it off, and you shoot it all the way over the building, and you're like, now you got to shut it down, move it, or whatever. With the throttle, it allows you to pull that distance closer to you or farther. The tight and the blade also do that, but now you can pull the blade closer to you and cover things that are a lot closer to you without having to set everything up or move the rig or whatever. So the combination of the 1,000 GPM blade and the throttle, I think, just makes an awesome weapon for when the big boys come out and the deck guns come out, or the master streams. And again, the quicker we put the fire out, the quicker everything gets better. If we can keep one building from burning 3 other ones down, then we did our job.
Absolutely. And another question I get a lot about, and I'm sure people are probably thinking about it, is at least in New England area, we get a lot of them, is propane issues. We get a lot of propane leaks. And people ask the question, well, on my fog nozzle, I put that to fog and I can disperse those vapors. Can my HEN nozzle do the same thing? Can it disperse all those vapors?
Yeah. We actually had a group up in Canada, a guy named Anthony Punko, who's been one of our earliest adopters. He owns a company called Emergency Decon Solutions, and he actually tried it on a couple different ways. And he remarked at how well the blade actually pushed everything away. The big droplets were able to basically neutralize the fire that was coming out, and he was able, just with a nice easy up and down, be able to mitigate the fire and actually get to the valve. And I had an idea, and no one's ever tried it yet, but if you're out there and you hear this and you try it, let me know. If you took 2 blades and instead of having them horizontal, you had them vertical and you had them meet at the valve, so that you basically create 2 walls of water. That way you don't have 2 crews of people inching up like you do with the combination nozzles, right? You have those circles that you you intersect and then you push forward, and then you have one person shutting the valve off. This way, your two crews could stay back. You just have the two blade that are vertical meet at the valve, and then you only have one person in the vicinity. Again, I'm not a hazmat guy. I don't know that that would work, but in my mind, that would work. But yeah, Anthony said that he was very pleasantly surprised at how well our blade nozzle worked for that. And if you're just trying to cool a propane, like a large propane tank, what's better than a huge blade pattern that actually cools the entire tank versus having to move that laser beam all around and trying to cool this side and then that side? And that, just leave the blade and it'll cool everything all at once so much quicker.
And especially too, when you have it on the fog pattern, you get a big old gust of wind. Where is that fog pattern going? It's going away. That fog pattern is not sticking around. The blade pattern it's not going to blow all over the place if you get a big gust of wind. If it's a windy day, it's going to stay right there, exactly, concentrated on where you need it. So you have
exactly.
So we have the blade, we have the Titans, and also with the Titans, you have the. Sorry, you crapped out again. Go again with that. You said exactly the same.
Oh, you were talking about the wind. It's the same reason why our nozzles work so well in the Wildland arena, because again, the big droplets are gonna penetrate the wind. And allow you to lay a wet line down without as soon as you go to the cone in a Wildland arena with any wind, your water is next to you and not in front of you. But again, the smoothbore, big droplets, big wide blade, you're going to get 6 to 8 inches in the black, 6 to 8 inches in the green, and you're going to lay down a wet line that is basically one and done. You don't have to worry about somebody trailing behind you. You don't have to worry about doing U-turns. You can be aggressive and catch the end of the fire, because your water's doing all the work. So, yeah.
I love it. I love it. Now, also with the Titans, you have the turret system as well. Can you talk about that real quick?
Yeah. So those should be coming out hopefully by the end of the year. And it's going to allow you to be able to use those monitors, remote control, whether it's mounted on the bumper of your brush truck or on your deck gun or on your ladder pipe. You'll be able to manipulate both wide blade and tight, up and down, side to side. You're going to be able to manipulate all those things from the safety of being back or on the rig. It's just again, we're trying to make all of the aspects of firefighting and the modern fire service safer and better. And we think that once the turret system comes out and you add that to the Titan blade system, and it's going to be lights out for the fires.
I absolutely love it. You're not wrong at all. Like, it is definitely something to see. If no one's ever seen the Titans, if no one ever seen the turret work, definitely contact your reps and ask for a demo. And we'll talk about that real quick. HEN is really good about getting demos set up.
Yeah, I mean, we have I don't even know right now how many, but we have 12 to 15 regional sales managers strewn all over the United States. We have a couple in Canada. We actually have one in the UK. If you want a demo, you ask for a demo, you will get a demo. And all of our RSMs are either current or retired firefighters. You're not getting a nozzle salesman. You're getting a firefighter that sells nozzles. And to me, that is a huge distinction. We're not just trying to sell you nozzles. We're trying to show you a different way of applying water and a different way to go about fire suppression, and in the hopes that, yes, if you buy our nozzles, we're gonna benefit. But I think the fire department that buys the nozzles are also going to benefit, because again, they're going to be safer and better at applying water and doing their jobs of fire suppression. And to me, in the end, if in 5 or 10 years there's HEN nozzles all over the country and people aren't going to the burn ward with blistered ears and burnt hands anymore, and we're putting fires out quicker, and we're getting maybe one less conflagration wildfire in a year because of us, then I've given back to the fire service that took care of me for 35 years. And to me, I think that's the best.
You nailed it. Absolutely. And that's one of the things I say is that we just want to make the job better for our brothers and sisters in the fire service. This is literally, it's for me, that's the joy I get out of it. 100% is if They give me the feedback after they buy the nozzles that, hey, we had a killer fire and this thing did its job. We got in, we got out, we saved a home, we saved a victim, but you know what? It was way different than having to work harder. I love hearing those things. That is the best thing I can ever get from the feedback of our customers.
It really is.
And
we're giving something
totally is. I love it.
to the fire service that is making their job easier. They don't fight the nozzle anymore. They fight the fire.
Yes, sir. Absolutely. And I love that you've got some really great people on the team. And like you said, you have firefighters currently or retired firefighters, and you have some really killer firefighters on the team. And so they're so knowledgeable, and not only just how to use nozzles, but they're very experienced of actually just giving some education free of charge. You know, like, hey, let me give you some training on how to move your hose line, or here's a better way to flow and move, or how you can work the nozzle better in this room. Let's talk about water mapping, all those things. I love, because that's what we love to do. We love to teach. Not only are you getting a good demo on some good stuff, but you're also getting some solid education out of it.
Well, I mean, we have Ray McCormack, right? Lieutenant, 69 engine in Harlem, did one of the most iconic keynote speeches of FDIC. Is an engine guy through his bones, teaches everywhere across the world, joined HEN because he realized that he wanted to be a part of this and saw the benefits that this did for the fire service. Dennis Laguerre knows more about firefighting and water delivery than I will ever know, and in 1,000 lifetimes. I can guarantee you he knows the water delivery system in every town, how every engine is put together, and he remembers all that. He's been a massive sense or source of information for us. I mean, we have Jason Floyd. He was on a UL panel that helped decide, how we should fight fire. I mean, we have rock stars on our team, and that's because they all believe in this nozzle, and they all believe in the fact that this is going to make the fire service better.
Absolutely. Yeah, you have killer reps there. You have just so much information, so much knowledge that's within this company that's doing such great things for it. And I think what like Dennis built for that turbo, that's the biggest feedback I get is from people talking. They always say, I want to see the turbo, show me that. And I think that's the game changer along with the blade, is that turbo device.
Absolutely. Again, I mean, the turbo allows you to put a nozzle that should never be on a certain hose and allows you to flow it and be safe. I did a demo for a department who had actually just transitioned to sniper. So we used our nozzle and the sniper was great. And then, I'm like, well, what hose did you used to use? And they had a higher PSI older hose. And I'm like, well, let's try the turbo and our nozzle on that. And it worked great. And they're like, do you realize that you just bought me like 1,000 feet of hose that's sitting on the racks? We didn't know what to do with it. And now you've made it serviceable because the turbo allows me to use this older hose. So maybe not on frontline, but after a 2 or 3 alarm fire, when all your hose is dirty and you want to put this other hose on there with the turbo, it works. So it gives departments a lot of options, and it makes life simpler, I think, for maybe some logistics people who have to buy hose and nozzles.
Yeah, I couldn't agree more. A lot of people are looking at the turbo because it's less expensive and it's more cost effective to put that on their aging hose line and to have a better responding hose and nozzle, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah. So we're winding down here. I absolutely love everything that you got to say, Eric. And I said, like I told you before we started, Rob Fisher had a whole bunch of things that he was telling me about you, and he's just like, ask him this and ask him that, and I couldn't interrupt with all the knowledge you're giving about this product. But is there anything besides nozzle talk, as we're winding down here, that you wanted to give out? Anything besides that, or any kind of tidbits that you could give to everybody else listening?
First of all, the fire service to me is the best job in the world. There's really nothing that rivals it. If we do it right, and I don't mean tactically, but if you just take the time to share what you know, because nobody comes out knowing anything about the fire service. Everything that we know, everything that we apply on the fire ground, we had to learn. Somebody had to take the time to teach us. So repay that. It's very easy. Instead of, if you came through in a world where you had to fight for everything you learned and you got hazed and, that's the way I did it, kid, then change it and just don't do that and just share everything. Because the quicker we share everything, the quicker everybody on your department knows everything, then the better off we're all going to be. And for me in my community, I want all my firefighters to have all the knowledge. I don't want the senior guys to have the knowledge and not share it with the junior guys because they don't want them to know. I want everybody to have all the knowledge. So, and that's what podcasts like this are about. That's what conferences are about. That's what classes, FDIC, all that stuff. Go out, learn, and then when you're done, come back and share. Don't come back and try to change your department though and go, hey, I went to this class and I learned this and we have to do this. That's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about taking a class and going back. And maybe if you're a firefighter, going to your office and go, hey, check this out. Can we try this? I saw this. It's pretty cool. Tell me what you think. And then, because I think everybody can lead and everybody can learn, right? There was this one thing that I came up with. It's called leadership from the bottom. Everybody can lead, right? Everybody can lead from the first day you're in the firehouse to the last day that you walk out. You can lead and you can learn and you can follow. And if we all do that simultaneously, I think we're going to be okay.
I love it. I love it very much. Man, that was great. What a way to end it. I just absolutely love that. And actually, it's funny you mentioned that article because I was reading that before we started going on. I was sitting in my living room and I was reading some articles of yours, and that was the first one I started reading. And I love it. It's such a great message. And even though you wrote that quite some time ago, it's still very pertinent to this day. And I firmly believe in what you're saying. Eric, I really appreciate you being on the C.A.N Report. It was a fantastic conversation. I love the passion you still have after all these years. You're retired, but you're not dead, right? Like, we're doing stuff. You're killing it. You're bringing back this mission of making things still better for us in the fire service. You're putting good weapons in our hands so we can kill the fire. And I really appreciate that, man.
Well, I appreciate it. Again, it was an honor to be on here. I do. I love the fire service. The three things that I'm most proud of: my wife, my kids, and the job I had. And, working for the Sacramento Fire Department for 30 years was really the best 30 years of my life. And again, my wife was by my side the entire time. Couldn't have done it without her. Like we said at the beginning, the kids had to have Christmases on different days and Thanksgiving on different days and birthdays on different days just because daddy had to go to work. But I wouldn't change a thing. I feel so fortunate that I am able to work for HEN and go out there and flow water and put my turnouts on every now and then and nerd out on nozzles. It's been an amazing ride, and I feel very fortunate that I can continue on just maybe a little longer.
I love it, man. It was great. Honestly, it was an absolute pleasure meeting you at FDIC. I learned so much from you when I went to the booth and I got to talk with you. We did a quick interview, and it was awesome just to get that quick 5-minute knowledge. It was such a busy day at that booth, but it was great to actually meet you and listen to you talk about the product. And that's what honestly a big part of why I wanted to jump on this whole train is listening to you talk about it, watching you flow water, watching everybody else pick up that nozzle and go, man, this is a game changer. It's awesome to be able to bring that to your state, to your community, and just to show them like, hey, we can fight fire better. So like, that's the biggest thing is that, and I'm sure you've seen it too, and you hear about it, is that people are very hesitant and reluctant because it's new, because it's different.
Of course.
And I'm telling you guys right now, like, don't be scared to change. If you are talking negative about these products, ask us for a demo. We'll be glad to be out there and put those nozzles in your hands. And if you don't like it, that's cool. It costs you nothing, but put that in your hand. Test the equipment before you piss all over it, or you buy something. It might not even be a HEN nozzle, maybe some other kind of product, and a vendor tells you, yeah, buy this is gonna be great, and you never even test it, and then you get it in your department and go, oh man, I just wasted $500 on a piece of junk, and my whole crew hates it. No, get a demo. Whether it doesn't matter what product it is, always test your equipment before you buy it. And that's what we're doing with you guys. Ask us for these demos. We're going to come out. We're going to flow everything, the whole product line, from the forestry nozzle to the Titans. We will flow it all. We'll spend all day with you. We just want you guys to be educated. We want you guys to actually get your reps in and to see what this can do to make your jobs better. And Eric Guida has that information. He is readily available. If anyone ever needs to get information from him, he is out there. He's ready to answer your questions. HEN has an amazing amount of educational videos on YouTube and on their website. So check out those channels. You have Eric Guida, Ray McCormack. They're all on those channels as well. They go in depth about those products, especially the Turbo and the Titans. So if you guys are ever confused or looking for additional knowledge, they have the data and they have the video showing of actually extinguishing these fires. So check those out, and check out Eric Guida, because this man is not blowing smoke up your behinds. He knows what he's talking about, and he's very passionate about it. And I'm very honored, and I thank you so much for being on the podcast with me this evening. I really appreciate you.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I had a great time. And yeah, we're not afraid of comparison. Please call us out. We'll come. We'll flow our nozzles next to your nozzles. You can compare and contrast. And then in the end, if you like what you currently have, that's great. I think that's all we can ask, is that you give us a fair shake. But I truly believe that if you do compare what you have and what we have, unless what you have is a HEN right now, we're going to show you something that you've never seen before. But don't be afraid to change. We're not, our engines aren't drawn by horses anymore. We're not ventilating with only axes anymore. Sometimes change is good. So call us out. We're ready to come out. I'm also hiring 2 RSMs for California. So if you're interested in joining the team, we're hiring all over the country. Come join this great team. It's great having Mike. He joined us. He's doing a great job. If you're in New England, call him up. Get him out there. Have him flow the nozzles. Have them tell you exactly what we're doing and why we're so excited. And I think you guys will see that why we're so excited about the potential of changing the fire service for the better. But I appreciate being on here. It's been a blast.
My pleasure, sir. I hope to have you on again. Thank you so much. Thank you all for listening. And again, check it out. Go on the website, Facebook, social media. It's all over the place. And if you're looking for a job, hiring. So Eric Guida, thank you so much. I love to end my programs with my little slogan. I don't know if you're familiar with it. I say Nozzle Top at the end, and I've changed things up. I want my guests to say it with me. So if you're all ready and willing, all right. So you all stay safe. Be well.
Nozzle Top.
Nozzle Top. Love it. Thank you so much. Y'all take care. Thank you all for tuning in to the C.A.N Report. Before we wrap up, I want to give a big shout out to our sponsor, Engine House Designs. They're a firefighter-owned, family-operated business that's been repping the fire service since 2021. Engine House Designs specializes in custom firefighter apparel, hats, hoodies, t-shirts, plus decals, flags, and patches. Whether you're looking for a single shirt or outfitting your whole department, they've got you covered with bulk pricing and top-tier quality. Their mission? Simple: to ignite the pride in firefighters across the country. Check them out on Instagram, Facebook, or visit enginehousedesigns.com. Engine House Designs. Ignite the pride.